In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Vundacast.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Vundacast. Never back down from the brass. Always start first. Never finish last. Had max speed. Bit too fast. Oh no, they're out of gas. It's okay there. Just a podcast. They're the greatest. We're the Vundacast.
Welcome to the Vundacast, the official podcast of Vundacast.libsyn.com.
Whoa, that was a big change all of a sudden.
Yo, we are part of the Libsyn family now of
We're ready
podcasts.
to announce that, huh?
Okay, we are getting statisticals on this podcast thanks to our subscription to Libsyn. So we have our complete archives there for anybody to go through our great podcast history and learn why we call you Chicken Nugget because of episode 52, Electric Boogaloo.
I
We
love
were
that you
looking for chicken
can
nuggets.
name all the episodes like that. It's so funny.
Well, one of us has to have an encyclopedic knowledge of our history.
Exactly. One of us.
That's my data-like way. I am your host, Steven,
And I'm Danny.
and we are
Happy quarantine. No, that's not happy. It's not happy.
Merry Quarantine? We should figure out what would be the best way to turn quarantining into a holiday. Right? That
Give
sounds like
everybody money
Vundacast
so
topic.
that they can have fun in their house.
So maybe it's like quarantine nights, like gambling, like those casino events.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all just betting on Corona right now,
Oh my god.
right?
If we're betting on Corona, whoever's betting for Corona is rich right now because it's totally winning.
Well, that's basically what the stock market is. Every day of our lives, they're betting on us.
Exactly.
So that's fun. We are broadcasting from the new and improved podcast studio room. Whoa. Fancy
Yes.
title, aka the PSR. Everyone knows. Danny has gone into beautification mode. And we have hung everything up in like frames and have made the room like nerd heaven.
I think that in a way, this is also sort of like a slightly cheap soundproofing because these frames kind of capture sound a little bit, maybe. Am I wrong? You should compare and contrast.
Sure. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I think
Yeah.
maybe because we have a rug and because now like the bed isn't going to be refracting
Yeah.
like the floor level sound.
I think we might have better
Maybe
audio.
it'll be better audio. Damn it.
So,
The fan's on.
darn it.
Son
Oh,
of a
well.
ghost.
Well, if you can hear the fan now,
We'll see.
I don't know, I think the room actually is a little more studio friendly. The fact that this is our studio / living area / everything.
So
It's where we live our lives, guys.
the last time
space.
you and me did a one-on-one Vundacast was when we went to go see Ready or Not.
Oh man.
And we love that film. That was the greatest film of 2019. And unfortunately, it still is the greatest film of 2019 because we were so disappointed by Tross. I'm
the
sorry.
Rise of Skywalker to the uninitiated.
I'm sorry, dogs. We're here with the @MidnightHounds on Instagram. Duke, a.k.a. Dukito, King of My Heart, Lord Dukington. John Rustovich, a.k.a. John St. Larust, a.k.a. Rusty Venture. We got Xenobina sleeping in the Batcave. We got Morticula, a.k.a. Morty, inside the Cozy Cave. So thanks to the quarantine, I've been updating the Instagrams. And I've been busy building a Lego Ghostbusters firehouse, which I finally finished today.
So excited.
Which we've had that firehouse for like 4 to 5 years.
Are you serious? No way.
I think we bought that in like 2017.
No way.
I think we bought that before we got married. Definitely.
Xena, you're asleep.
Xena can't believe it. She's like, why are you so loud? I'm trying to take a nap.
That is weird. 2017. That is crazy.
And the other Lego we still haven't built, which hypothetically we could bust out right now.
Is the Darth Vader?
No, it's the Shield Helicarrier, which is also from then.
We have never bought that, and that thing that thing is older than that. I think that thing's really old.
That was from the same trip.
Really?
Yeah, I remember we went to Disney, and we were so like crazy on the lust of credit cards that we were like, you know what? Screw it. We're getting both of these ridiculously expensive Lego sets.
That's right.
And no one can judge us because we're on vacation right now.
Of course, exactly.
But it paid off right now from quarantine. Because that was a delight.
Exactly. It's paid itself back.
Since last we did a Friday the 13th commentary track with D-Rock. Mm-hmm. And we're going to transition the podcast to do more commentary tracks because I find them a lot of fun. And I think it's a good way to express ourselves. I think we've gotten
kind of burnt out on just doing reviews and stuff. Yeah, and especially with like everything that's been going on.
Well, it's just a endless review echo chamber.
It is, yeah.
And I feel like the shelf life of a review
is a day.
Is minimal.
Yeah, it is.
When I think that if you just do a podcast like celebrating something or just really having a real fandom experience with a film, that I think that has more shelf life and authenticity also. Yeah,
I agree. I just also, I think that, I don't know, I think that for me, one of the reasons why I sort of dropped off is because I got tired of reviewing things, and...
Well, watching things felt like a chore.
Yeah.
To know that
I would have to review it.
And then if we don't love it, what's the point of reviewing it?
It feels so negative when I don't like it, and like he said, I don't know, it's just a relentless echo chamber. Everybody nowadays is a critic, even when they're not a critic. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't feel... Yeah. I don't need to add to that. Like, there's enough voices that are better at it than I am that add to it, so I'll do my own thing.
So I'd like to pivot the podcast to be less critical and more fandom...
Well,
appreciate.
I don't know if that's exactly what you're doing, because we are basically going to watch a bunch of dumb movies and make fun of them. But
yes, but I'm watching them because I love cinema.
Oh, I see.
Okay, because I love movies.
Okay.
And I love good movies and
it'd be really fun if we were just like, we turned ourselves into the biggest idiots and started watching like really good old movies, and then like the Criterion Collection.
Oh, and
just pretended that we were like...
Oh, no. We were dumb?
So we were dumb and we're like, what the hell is all of this?
Well, we can experiment with that. If anyone would like to recommend their favorite Criterion Collection film to lambast.
Sure. No thanks.
Xena? Okay, I won't do it, Xena. I swear I won't do it. I'm sorry, Duke. Hey, it's commercial time with Danny. How you doing, Danny?
I'm great.
Yeah, we can put on fun advertising voices. Like everybody.
What?
So, you know that if you want to reach us, you can reach us at Vundacast on Twitter.
Wait, what was that? At Vundacast on Twitter?
Exactly. That's where you can send like a certain amount of characters to us with your questions or comments or input for the show. Or you could leave us a review, preferably 5 stars, on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or even Spotify.
That would be the bee's knees.
Whoa, do bees have knees?
They sure do now.
Then we want to raise money for them to get knee braces. So if you want to send us money to send to the knees of the bees for their braces, you can do so by going to Ko-fi.com/Vundacast and giving us some of that hard-earned grizzly scratch.
Disclaimer, this money will not be going to the bees for the knees for the bees.
We rehabilitate bees so that they can perform athletics. which would be amazing because there is a problem with the bee population. So if you guys have a chance to not kill a bee,
Don't do it.
that would be ideal. Or
Water out for the bees.
to help people not kill bees, like teach children not to kill bees, that would also be helpful too. So that's what we're doing.
Great commercial.
We're the Vundacast. You can email us at vundacast@gmail.com for your advertising opportunities. Tell your mom, tell your dog. We'll take whoever we can get.
Tell your dog he's listening.
Son of Sam says so.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
Yeah, one team.
We're great at advertising.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Vundacast.
And we're back. What great producers to make sure we get a commercial break in this podcast.
Randomly,
Way to go.
before we've even begun
Zena.
our topic. It's fantastic.
And our topic today
Is a review! After we just spent all that time telling you that we're not going to do this anymore.
I have, because of Star Trek Picard,
Mm-hmm.
it has really reignited my Star Trek fandom, which I put on like long pause during these last few years of Star Wars hyping.
Yeah. And now that has crashed.
And now that's crashed and
To a
burned.
fiery
I gotta
pit.
diversify my nerd stocks again.
Now that our Star Wars love has been thrown down a chasm, and hopefully one day it will be cloned back and resurrected somehow.
Ben Solo will return. Maybe they'll put him in a robot body,
That'd be great.
and he'll be like the Vision.
Exactly. But yeah, he's been watching more Star Trek, and also we were very excited about Picard anyway, because I mean it's Picard, and so that's just gonna happen. So we just finished.
Do you remember when you saw Star Trek First Contact?
I do not.
You do not. I remember very specifically.
Every Star Trek movie now to me is a blur because I rewatched them so many times that I don't remember the first time I saw them.
I remember specifically because it was like my older brothers who were teenagers when the movie came out, and I was in middle school. They wanted to go see it at night, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to go." And they talked my parents into letting me go with them to this is like the first time I went to a movie that it was like probably like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, whoa, I'm living life.
You're
outside.
Like, I'm an adult.
I'm at 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm eating popcorn. I'm watching spaceships blow up. This is crazy. And then I got super scared / turned on with the Borg Queen, and when she's being all pervy with Data and stuff, and then somewhere in the movie I fell asleep, and then woke up at the good action-y parts when they're on top of a spaceship and freaking Worf's kicking ass. So that film really cemented my feeling that Star Trek was a cinematic experience, because before that all of my Star Trek feelings were about watching it on TV or watching the end of Star Trek The Next Generation, which I remember was a monumental moment in my young life where everyone was just talking about Star Trek for a week and a half. And unfortunately, because Star Trek Picard is on CBS All Access,
no one can do that.
That experience doesn't exist anymore.
Which is sad.
Because the entirety of America isn't going to just jump on CBS's cock. Yeah, that's right. This is the Vundacast. I can say curse words.
I think that is the sad thing about having to do subscription services. You do sometimes miss out on which is why I think when things like Stranger Things on Netflix blows up, it becomes sort of a the experience. And Game of Thrones was like that, and because it was week to week to week, and
it had to build up that momentum. I think after season 5
I think I've asked 3 people I know, hey, are you watching Picard? And they're like, not yet, or I watched one episode. It's it's not there.
Yeah, all the people that should be. The thing is that if Picard was on mainstream television,
it would be a huge deal.
They would already have been watching it.
I agree.
And I could name 4 people like that too.
I think I understand the sort of design, one, to make money, 2, the budget for the show can be incrementally higher than it infinitely higher than it would be if it was on network television.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it's an odd thing to take something that was such a week-to-week thing and then put it on, like, a streaming channel that, like, only a few... maybe a few million people? I don't know, a million? I don't know how many people have CBS All Access.
I think they at least have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, which, okay, 1 million, but are all of them, like, ooh, Picard? No. Some of them are like, ooh, Big Bang Theory for some.
No, I would say... I would guess that absolutely everybody who has... I think the percentage of people who aren't Star Trek fans
on CBS
who have a subscription to CBS All Access
are not
is the minority of CBS All Access subscriptions.
Maybe you're right.
Because what else are you gonna watch? You're gonna watch The Interrogation Room? Like what?
Some of these people.
Who's?
You're right.
Like, I need more crime content.
Every time they put an ad for another CBS show on there, I'm like, I have no interest in this show whatsoever. I have always associated CBS with old people, which is not wrong.
But Picard fits that mold.
He does now. But Star Trek was like the one thing that I would watch on CBS because it was the one thing that interested me. And so, yeah, we just finished watching the season finale, and we can now talk to you about the whole thing. And woo!
Well, the thing about the show being so serialized and non-episodic, like TNG was that it was difficult to know whether we thought the show was good or not without having all the episodes.
And now that we do.
In front of our face.
Yeah.
Because so much of the show was built around these mystery boxes and these secrets that they're slowly unfolding like an origami.
I will actually give them this. They opened all the boxes.
They didn't leave anything huge.
The finale was totally... The boxes were opened. The boxes were answered. And the way they left themselves, you have to wonder, like, what kind of tone are they going to hit next season? Because it sure feels like it's going to be different from this one.
Yeah, it definitely feels now, seeing this last episode, like they were really... The writers were really exploring all of these characters and were like figuring out who they were as we were figuring out who they were. It's kind of like my favorite character in the show was Captain Cristobal Rios, because he was so much fun. But now seeing the season finale, I feel like they didn't add anything to his character that wasn't for a payoff and setup in this show.
Maybe they'll have something season 2 more interesting. I don't know, but they kind of answered a lot of things about him.
Scene was like paid off and explained for everybody.
Yeah, emotionally. So it's interesting to see what they're gonna do. So I guess if you're listening to this is gonna have spoilers. Do your spoiler song.
Well, this is. Give them a non-spoiler.
I hate doing that. I don't want to do that. You don't like to...
Okay, but you recommend the show?
I recommend you watch it. If you are a Star Trek fan, I can't... Yeah, I have to recommend
I also recommend, because it's more Picard.
Because it's more Picard. It's more characters you like. It's more Star Trek universe, even though it is a little bit
before spoilers start, who was your favorite character?
Besides Picard... I really liked Elnor. He was such a sweet baby boy.
He was.
And I liked Soji to an extent.
I liked her too. She was very endearing.
But I feel like they need to do more with her. Like, she needs more. Right now, she's...
Okay, let's go to the spoilers. Now.
I told you, this is why I don't like doing non-spoiler review.
Spoilers, 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 spoilers. Dun, 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 spoilers! Too boldly go to spoilers!
Okay. Dun, dun. So, you've heard that song. Good job, Steven.
That's the Star Trek theme in spoilers verse.
This is spoilers. So I just want to quickly, if you haven't watched the show, but you want to be spoiled, I'm going to give a really quick, and I mean quick, rundown of what the show is about. And I think I can do that because really, it's a pretty simplistic plot. It is. I'm gonna be real.
They hid behind 8 mystery boxes.
They did. Essentially, Picard is retired, kind of forcefully retired, after a very bad mess up with the Romulans. This takes place in a world, if you saw the 2009 Star Trek, directed by J.J. Abrams, in that world, Romulus
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Romulus went boom. No, Vulcan went boom.
No.
Romulus.
Well, both of them went
both
boom.
Both of them went
movie.
boom. There was
but
a big,
in this timeline,
there was a big supernova.
Romulus went boom.
There was a big supernova, and Romulus and Vulcan went boom. But
no.
in this timeline.
No, listen.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Go.
In 2009 Star Trek, it opens with Romulus exploding.
Yes.
And that's how Spock travels through time.
Yes.
They only blow up.
That's right.
Vulcan in Chris Pine's universe.
That's right. So in that movie, there are 2 timelines.
JJ's fault.
It's
not my fault.
Stupid JJ. In that movie, there are 2 timelines, and the timeline that Spock leaves is the one where Romulus goes boom. That's the timeline we are currently in for Picard. Picard tried to have a mass evacuation effort. It went awry. Also, all of the synths, the artificial intelligence, the datas, just so happened to go absolutely banana cuckoo insane and kill a bunch of people on Mars. So that is one of the reasons
where
why
they were building all the ships for all the Star Treks.
That caused chaos in the galaxy, in the whatever, and the quadrant, and they said we have to stop the evacuation effort. Picard resigned in protest, and
well, we learned that
he did resign in protest.
He resigned in protest, but he was bluff resigning.
Of course, he
so
bluffed.
His
I'm sorry, yes.
Pride was wounded. He never thought they would actually.
He bluff resigned in protest, and they took him up on it because everybody was really scared. And
then his pride was actually wounded.
He also opposed the synth ban because Data, and also just Picard, being who he is someone who believes in communicating with species and diplomacy, not, just ban it, get rid of it, kill it. Anyway.
What Picard didn't know was that a Romulan had infiltrated Starfleet.
What he did, basically, so
much backstory.
Yeah, but simplistic-wise, so Picard is kind of in retirement when he gets called out of retirement when a mysterious woman shows up on his doorstep and says, I need your help. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Whoa.
And so he has to figure out the mystery of her. She ends up being Data's daughter, meaning that she was sort of built from the intelligence of Data. And and then he uncovers that the Romulans and their secret police, the Tal Shiar, the Zhat Vash, I'm sorry, even more secret than the Tal Shiar, they are in a plot.
They are Russian dolls of secrecy.
Yes.
In Romulus.
Every time you open another one pops out. They essentially are on a quest to end all synthetic life as we know it. And this girl is the ultimate form of synthetic life. She is a biosynthetic life, meaning she is indistinguishable from a human being.
She has blood, she spits,
she has mucus,
she
bangs,
has
all those things.
She bangs,
and so
she has orgasms.
She does. Picard goes on.
is the ultimate culmination of the dream of the Sung family.
Yes.
From genetically engineering Khan, Nooney, and Singh and the augments to building data and the positronic brain. She is hypothetically like a perfect being.
Bruce Maddox's to build a perfect being, perfectly bio.
She's got super strength. Being. She could kick Superman's ass.
Yes, she has many enhancements. So Picard goes on a quest with a ragtag team of young, befuddled crew members.
Emo crew members.
Emo befuddled crew members. To go and stop the Zhat Vash and the Romulans from destroying synthetic life.
And uncover mysteries.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. I think that's enough to talk about this. Because I don't want to just recap every episode. So, there is a lot. I'll start by saying, I think there is a lot, and when you start talking about it, it sounds like a lot. But I will say, my biggest critique is, even though there is a lot, looking back on all the episodes now, really felt like they could have handled this in 2 2-hour movies.
Whoa.
I don't know. I feel like some of the episodes got very repetitive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the struggle they had, and sometimes they accomplished it more successfully than other times. The struggle they had is they were trying to balance kind of an episodic treatment of the story, but yet every time we popped in on these characters, they were basically just having to fetch another fetch quest. It was fetch quests.
Yeah.
And so that's...
And then every time you got somebody, they immediately had to leave.
Yeah, and
break off from the story again.
I mean, I will say, I think... Just having to grow... I think what's truly amazing is, essentially these shows are what? Nostalgia porn, right? They know that we're watching because the name of the show is Picard.
Yep.
They know that we know we're
They're pulling up all the old sound cues.
Literally, the advertisements for the show brought in 7 of 9, Riker, Deanna Troi, every one of these characters immediately being like, you remember this one? They're coming back. Remember this? They're coming back. They were like, we want you to come and watch this because you know you're going to see these characters. But that's not... And I know nostalgia porn is, like, heavy popular right now. It is the currency of Hollywood.
It's the currency of the realm.
It is the currency of the realm in Hollywood.
Who has the IP?
But I know that, like, it can get frustrating and some people completely turn off from it because they just feel like it's always sort of cheap. But I like to still give things a chance because sometimes even when they have nostalgia porn, I think things can do things in a way that are very successful. I would say The Last Jedi, to me, was a very successful way to take nostalgia porn.
Agreed.
And make great, interesting stories. Would I say the sequel trilogy as a whole did that? No, I would not. I would say The Last Jedi succeeded very well. I would say the sequel trilogy as a whole was hit or miss. When it was a hit, it was a hit. When it was a miss, it was, dear God, what the fuck have you done? Like, so I think a lot of things are like that. I think a lot of stuff is sort of that way. There's hit or miss. With Picard, I think, amazingly, I think the show is a hit just because of the gravitas of having Patrick Stewart there. Mm-hmm. He is such a dynamic actor, and he is just... There's just... Especially my age, when I watched Star Trek, I was under 10 years old when I was watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
So in essence, Picard is like I don't want to say parental figure because obviously, you know, but he's a
mentor.
The mock-up of a parental like you listened to him. I listened to him. I watched his show, and that voice, the Make It So and Engage, and all those shows were just like, they came a part of me when I was a kid, and my parents were really into Star Trek, and so then I was into Star Trek.
He's the ideal of what good authority should be.
And I was concerned that with the show they would diminish that, but I think the benefit of Patrick maybe being an executive producer is that that's the one thing I felt they kind of maintained consistently is his sort of, like, sometimes the writing waffled with him a bit, but really at the end of the day, when Picard needed to be Picard, he was Picard, to me.
I just feel like when the writing whiffled was when they weren't confident that their show was serialized. Mm-hmm. So they were just regurgitating the same information week to week, just having different characters acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing in season 2 that I hope that they get away from and can make the show more episodic so they don't have to worry about having to keep these plot threads.
Because it felt like every
minds.
time we saw a character, it almost felt like they were concerned that they were throwing so many characters at us that every time one of these characters reappeared on screen, they had to remind us, like, hey, this Romulus guy, he's sexy but dangerous, and he's a spy, and his sister's really weirdly attracted to him for some reason.
And he's still having sex with her.
And he's still having sex with Soji the robot. And, like, every time Rafi was on screen, they're like, Rafi's a damaged woman, and she's had some tough times.
And then even, it's so weird, like, in episode 10... they just randomly throw out this piece of information that he's like, I'm a Zhat Vash washout, and I'm the one that found everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, like
even
later in the season, they're trying to add character to him.
He calls himself a Zhat Vash washout?
Yes, he said that.
I did not get that. I could not. Okay, so we've spent the entire show thinking that he was pure Zhat Vash.
Yeah.
And he's a washout. So why did they even let him do this in the first place?
Because
they
he
just
found her.
Does he just need someone young, dumb, and full of cum? Like, I don't... Oh, so, like, wait. So, are we now... So, this is the problem.
Is that they keep recontextualizing everything.
Do I now have to go back and realize that he found her on his own? So he was on a side mission?
Yeah, he was trying to prove the Zhat Vash. We're supposed to understand, hypothetically, reinterpret season 1 that he was on this side mission from the Zhat Vash, and that he was like, haha, I figured it out.
Okay.
Which he sort of does, but not really.
That's a little...
It sort of seems like he's just under
I
thumbs.
also feel... What was his character's name again?
Narek.
Narek, thank you. I feel that Narek... So Narek is the Romulus sexy spy...
he's basically the femme fatale of the show.
Yeah. He's the honeypot. He's the honeypot that seduces Soji, one half of a twin AI dyad.
Yeah, it's basically a dyad.
Yeah. And then who she had a sister, and she lived her whole life believing that she was a human, but she was really only 3 years old. She had been created in a special planet far away by Bruce Maddox to help be the savior of the synthetics. Essentially. No?
I don't think Bruce had the intention that she was going to be a savior. I think he just was going to build the best robot.
Okay.
He sent them out, supposedly, to uncover the mystery.
No, but to uncover the mystery of the Zhat Vash.
Oh, be the savior by the law.
But
okay,
I also,
sure.
the savior of the law, because I think that he was,
sure.
I think that he sent both Soji and her sister out there, Daj, in order to show people that synthetics could be human.
Sure.
That synthetics could have a soul, and that synthetics could be people.
A weird thing they did, though, that I'm going to point out.
They did several weird things, so yes.
Okay, but number one is, so Bruce Maddox, they chose not to get the actor who originally played Bruce Maddox in TNG.
Uh-huh.
And they got an actor who's actually younger than that actor because they didn't want Alison Pill to have to kiss somebody Patrick Stewart's age. Instead, he's just like 20 years younger than Patrick Stewart. Which, I guess it works, but then, one, why didn't you just make Girardi a little bit older?
Yeah.
Or two, why, then you have her hook up with Rios at the,
See, this is what...
she's just, it
feels...
horny?
Watching this show and, going to the last episode, this really essentially felt like... And my mom said it, too. This felt like one giant pilot. It didn't feel like 8 episodes.
Yep.
It felt like one huge...
experiment.
6-hour pilot.
Yeah.
Because...
10 hours.
10-hour pilot, because I feel like they were playing with these characters and they weren't sure. And you're absolutely right. Alison Pill is a young woman. Why was she in a sexual relationship with this very older man? And then, I guess just only to introduce the idea that if she killed him, she would feel really bad. But couldn't she just feel really bad anyway because, she's killing a human being?
Her version, and then her redemption for
dealing with it is to screw Rios.
But her redemptive act is that she saves Picard's life.
Yes.
So she kills one old man but saves another.
And
so that somehow equals
out. And it also just kind of feels like, okay, so I guess it feels, and I think they were trying to, they introduced something that perhaps she was brainwashed by Commander O.
She was, they laid the seed because she was having that traumatic response.
Yeah. But,
that it was mind control.
There was mind control.
And that her mission was just kill Bruce Maddox.
I almost wonder that if I rewatch it, will I appreciate everything far more now that I sort of understand where it's going. But the problem with that is, that's not a great thing for someone who hasn't seen this show to be watching it and going, where the hell is any of this going? Now I can rewatch it and go, oh, that's where it's going. Yeah. That's not the best way to do a TV show, I will have to say. You should be excited for the conclusion, not you shouldn't be sitting there going, they better pay this shit off or I'm gonna...
The other thing that now, having seen the whole season, just like thematically seems weird is like Raffi being to her son, like Romulans are behind everything, and Romulans are totally behind everything.
Yeah.
And like
she's okay with letting them go, I guess, is what you mean? Like she's not murderous?
No, I just like there's no closure there. You know what I mean?
I think Raffi's closure is that she just wanted to be right. You get what I'm saying? Which is kind of ridiculous.
But she still lost her family.
Exactly. That's kind of my problem, is that I understand she needed
You're
to
right
be
in spite of yourself.
You're right, but she lost her family. Exactly. Like
what's the moral lesson here?
Is she going to go to her son and be like, I told you so, and he's going to be like, okay, Mom, now you can come meet your grandchild? Like, is that how it's going to work? You know, like, is that...
They are so tricksy.
And then wasn't her daughter-in-law a Romulan?
Yeah.
So, it's confusing. I know that they kind of just played it with Raffi wants to know the truth of everything, and she lost everything because she didn't know the truth. But I kind of feel like there should be a more emotional conflict.
And then
in that
also
situation.
they're making her cure for like her addiction is just that she like turned off the replicator.
I know.
Like she just went cold turkey. Like that's still the best medicine in the 24th century.
It feels like for this season, they were throwing darts against a wall.
Oh no, wait! Her and Seven were eating cake. Maybe they're just getting high.
The cake was the drug now.
Okay, but I'm saying so at the end of the season, her and Seven are just gonna get high.
No, they're eating cake. It's not high. And then the implication is that her and Seven... Yeah, second of all...
Or lesbians as well.
Our lovers
are gonna be lesbians
are
now.
super lesbian lovers, which is great.
Well,
which I'm very happy about on the level of woohoo. But I'm also just sort of like, you just gonna throw that in there?
Yeah.
Literally, the show is ending in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's your inclusion.
Bye. Here you exactly. And I'm like, are you gonna pay that off next season? This season really felt, except for like the plot of the Romulan versus synth thing, which was consistent throughout and constantly repeated. We got it. Everything else of these characters, except for Picard, felt so much like they were throwing darts against a wall.
You know what would have been
trying to decide what to do with these characters. I am still confused. Steven doesn't understand. I am still confused.
Okay.
Rios and Jurati had sex when she was in a state of mind-controlled
stress
trauma, and yet at the end of the season,
now she's
they're
imprinted on
holding
him,
hands and all lovey-dovey, and I'm like, you guys fucked once.
No, and then the other confusing thing is that when Rios is depressed,
but maybe the problem
but when Rios is depressed, he's not crying on Jurati's shoulder.
No,
he's hanging out with Seven, having a sip with Seven.
Exactly. And it's kind of like...
The other thing is, in the last space battle, wouldn't it have been useful to use the holograms to help you out, Picard? Fighting all the ships? Like, you have all... Like they built so many plot threads that dramatically they couldn't use all of them all the time.
This show... Yeah, like...
But it's fun.
There were moments...
But it's fun!
There were moments of character work that were really meaningful and interesting and made me want to know more, especially about some of these new characters and the old characters, like I really liked. The Data stuff was top-notch because it was simple and true. That stuff was very emotional.
All the Brent Spiner work
stuff top-notch.
As Data is just...
beautiful stuff.
So hard.
And I think that benefits, truthfully, it benefits from the writing that came before it. Because it benefits from...
For sure.
It does. It benefits from that writing that kind of really built Data and Picard's relationship. The Riker, Deanna, Picard stuff is all based on that. But you could really tell that when it came to the new characters, they were on such shaky ground. They were worried. And you could tell they were worried. I could almost see how they were like, how can we make these characters? I want to make them dynamic and diverse, but I don't want. Is this controversial? Is this controversial? Pull back. It kind of felt like sometimes they were having an argument with themselves about like, what do we want to do with these characters?
How far are we going
to go? And then all of a sudden they're like throwing out lesbian, this, that, the other. But what's interesting is, if this had ended and I didn't know they were getting a season 2, I would have been incredibly disappointed, because I would have been like, wait, you just finally got all these motherfuckers in a room together and now the show's ending. But, positive of positives, there is a second season coming. And Picard is now in a fresh, new, shiny body.
Which they stripped the possibility of it have any
superpowers
cool about it.
Because you know what? I bet you
they didn't want fanboys to spend a year and a half.
I bet you that was
being
Patrick.
like, Picard can fight Superman.
That's the other thing too. Is it feels very much like just the same issues that we have with Discovery is the issues we have with this show, where it feels so much like they're constantly reading Twitter and like, they didn't like that. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Like, obviously they couldn't pull back on this season because it was the first season, which is maybe why they played... Because Discovery... I will give Discovery one thing. The first season, they committed to the story they had, right? And then the second season, they were like, oh, by the way, all the Klingons grew hair, and...
what did everyone complain about? Let's fix that. Let's make it more episodic.
Let's make it more episodic. Let's do that. But the first season had a very specific vision. This one, they knew they can't go back and fix it, but so it almost felt like they were like,
well,
hey,
I think that
you got character stuff, we gotta throw it.
I think that they did, though. I definitely feel like the Riker Troy episode that they did that they shot that 5th episode near the end of the run, like they stuck it in, and then they added Riker to the end. That's my feeling.
I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that because I don't know anything.
But that's just my feeling of the show, because it feels like with that episode, that the whole show just kind of
slow down,
just turns, and it gets into gear.
Yes, it does.
You know,
which is why there's a
which we're waiting 5 episodes to get to.
There's a good podcast that Steven likes to listen to.
Star Trek TNC.
Yeah, and they said the same thing. It felt like that episode was finally an episode that felt like, oh, okay, we're doing.
We're a Star Trek. Yeah.
We're a Star Trek, and yeah. So, but what I'm hopeful about for next season, is that now that they finally put these puzzle pieces into place, they're going to go on adventures together, and it's going to get more sort of cohesive, and that they hopefully, instead of having this big arc of story that they sort of needed to put these characters around like chess pieces for the big middle part, they'll be able to have them interact episodically with stories so that they can just sort of be in the show and do that. Well, I don't know what they're planning to do, but my hope is that they will do that. Even though my big question is, I'm sorry, one more thing. What the fuck is Picard doing? Like, is he part of the Federation again? Is he going to be exploring
He was always a part of the Federation.
Okay, but he retired.
He was a retired admiral. He was admiral status. He did that SOS message and asked to be a diplomat.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, right now, he has the status of diplomat. Re-given to him in the Federation. So
instead of having a Federation ship, he's going to have a janky old...
Well, most likely... They will Rios now, knowing that the Federation is cool again. Yeah. He'll get
a fancy new ship?
A dispensation.
Oh, okay, yes.
And maybe they'll be Section 31. Maybe this will become a covert ops ship or something.
That might be interesting. But I think, so he'll be a covert diplomat?
No, so yeah, maybe they have to do like covert diplomatics. Maybe, because I think it would be, I think the most dramatic place to take anything is Picard knows that there's some sort of Cthulhu AI out there. Yeah. And it's always going to be hanging over our heads. We need to figure out how to make peace with it.
Yeah, because I really hope they address that. There is a Cthulhu monster in the sky just waiting to
And that's a fucked up idea that I dig.
Yeah.
Is that Cthulhu's a robot? That's kind of cool. I dig that.
Cool. I mean, it makes a strange sort of sense. But yeah, there's a Cthulhu robot in the galaxy somewhere. And... they really gotta, figure that shit out. They gotta, get rid of that. They gotta,
because he knows.
Yeah,
y'all exist now.
Yeah, exactly.
What if he just comes direct? Because it definitely looks like a portal. Yeah. Of some kind. Yeah. Which, if you are Cthulhu AI, you couldn't just open a portal by yourself.
And this is the thing. Sometimes I feel with these shows, and this is just a problem with modern pacing in general, they don't give people time to react to the horrors that are going on. If a portal, I know that all of these people have seen some shit, But if a huge hole opened up in the sky and a monster with tentacles began to emerge from it, you don't think that nobody would be like, whoa, what the fuck?
Well, the Romulans obviously did.
No, the Romulans.
They were like, this is it.
But they were more concerned about fighting with Riker or whatever. Like,
but the ones on the ship are probably like, get him on, no, we're late.
But what about Riker? Riker couldn't go over there and be like, what the fuck?
The captain can't show that he's shitting his pants? That's not good captainry.
I just really feel like, because part of the problem, too, is that, like, I think this show, the same thing with Discovery, is it's not always, can't always tell a sense of scale. Like, the ships don't feel big.
Yep.
So, like, I need you to react.
Yeah, you don't know how big.
Like, I need you to react.
The
like,
lesser it
what
is.
the fuck? That's huge. The actors need to tell me how big something is, please. Yeah. If it's big, I need you to...
Whoa, that's a big bitch.
Exactly. Give me something.
Give me the scale.
Give me the scale. Yeah. But I will say I never walked away from an episode and said, man, I'm not even going to watch that again.
No, like, as you're watching every episode, they're all entertaining.
Yeah.
They're all engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are a little better paced than others.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I enjoy the final outcome just if you start looking at it with a microscopic lens.
Not even that big of a microscopic lens.
A magnifying glass.
If you just start asking a couple questions, you're like, ah!
You have to disengage. I'm kind of proud of the show.
Yeah.
In that they made the ending of every other movie where someone's opening up a giant portal into something I was into.
Yeah, it's true.
Because usually it's such an overdone cliche.
That you're like, bleh. Yeah.
But if they were a higher synthetic life form, why didn't they open up their own goddamn portal?
Exactly.
They gotta be being
Why
trickery.
are they trapped?
They gotta be tricksy.
Yeah, why are they trapped? Why do they require a beacon?
You know what would really make me excited as a Star Trek nerd if they did for, like, Season 2? If they reveal that, like, all ancient myth from all the different cultures
came from those
was
robots.
connected.
That would be
so
cool.
Like, maybe, like, Kalis fought this monster
Yeah.
from Kronos on Klingon homeworld and
that
shit.
would be cool.
And, like, all the different historical figures, like, somehow
Things I want to see in season 2.
breathed into it or something.
Let's get away from some Romulans. Or if we're going to do Romulans, let's do, like, fun Romulan stuff. Let's not do, like, secret Romulan.
Yeah, let's do more sex. Come on.
No, I just mean, like, don't... Romulans, like, yeah. I don't know.
Because they went real hard on the Romulans
They
this
went
season.
So hard on Romulans.
And the other thing, too, is Picard had those 2 awesome Romulan Alfreds at his chateau, which I would have liked them to come along on this adventure.
Man,
They've had a good chemistry.
That was my problem.
They need more screen time.
I was kind of like, I didn't like the fact that they left them behind. That was very... And I know they were like, well, they've got to...
God, the grapes.
I'm like, seriously? Like, they could run anything else. Can't they hire a robot? Like, can't they...
Come hell or high water, these grapes need to go out.
Seriously! Picard was like, you better fucking get my wine.
The only thing I have now is my Picard family name.
I think so, is what he was trying to say, because he literally left the secret police, Romulans, in charge of his fucking grapes.
Oh,
that was crazy. He couldn't have sent one... Well, they didn't want to be separated. That was... Yeah. That was one of those things that when you start looking at it with a magnifying glass, why do those people...
But that was almost like the foreshadowing that you're gonna get in. You're gonna like a lot of characters, and they're gonna be like, oh, by the way, here's your side quest.
Yeah. No, and I think I will have to say maybe the reason why they didn't storytelling reason they didn't bring them in is because these characters know Picard too well, so it wouldn't give him a chance to be out of his element. But the thing about Picard is that he never feels totally out of his element. There's one time he does, and it was adorable, is when he didn't know how to fly the spaceship. And that was a great payoff. So, like, he didn't know how to fly the Rio spaceship, and then he basically watched Rios, and then in the last episode, he had to fly the ship, and he had, like, figuring out how to do it.
Which they could have solved by just being like, hey, Enoch, emergency navigational hologram.
You're right.
Fly ship for me, good.
You're right. But it was cuter to watch Picard figure out...
It was
cuter to watch an old man learn new tricks. Okay? So I liked that payoff with that. But yeah, like, sometimes it just always felt like, who was supposed to be the fish out of water here? It's not Picard. Picard never feels like a fish out of water. He always feels like he knows what he's doing. Even if he doesn't, he just blusters through it anyway, and people are like, well, Picard said so I
He's
guess.
an admiral, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Which is another reason why one of the best episodes of the season, if not the best episode of the season, was episode 5, the Deanna Troi, Riker, Picard episode.
Maybe it's 6. I think 5.
5 or 6?
Yeah,
Okay.
5 was the casino one.
Oh yeah, okay, so 6. That episode was fantastic simply because it wasn't even just the fact that Riker and Troi were there. It was the fact that they took time to dress down Picard and make him more human. And make him
and engage with him like he's not an icon.
Like he's not an icon. And yeah.
But
and
still keeping him as an icon.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
It was a very well
and then
done
their
episode.
daughter, Kestra, was
fantastic.
just so...
She was so cute.
So endearing.
Yeah.
Like, I want more Kestra.
She was adorable. And, yeah, that whole episode was very powerful. I think that it was very smart to...
Oh, no, Duke. I'm sorry. You can't get comfy there.
Sorry. I think it was very smart to put the human face of the synthetic band on characters that we know. So, in that episode, we find out that Troi and Riker lost a son to something that would have been easily cured had synthetics not been banned.
Positronic brains been available.
And positronic brains not been banned. And that was a very powerful message to send about the synthetic ban. I kind of wish we had more of that. I kind of wish that there was more
to show the stakes.
sort of consequences. Because that's the thing, is that that's... you. The way that they sort of tell the story, well, they banned all the synthetics. And Picard is arguing about it. It really feels like he's arguing more about the right for these people to exist, which is great. But there's so much more going on around synthetics than just they have a right to exist. You've used the technology to revolutionize medicine in your world. So are you saying that even... Yes, I get it. 90,000 people died on Mars. That's bad. But how many more people have died because you banned synthetic life and you can't use synthetic material to help people? I don't know. What about building arms? Or how do they build? Do they have just robot arms now? Like,
are you still allowed to...
Like, what are you doing? Because we were under the impression...
And the other thing, too, is they should have... Well, hopefully in Season 2 they'll get to explore it.
Yeah.
Is what happened to the Doctor hologram from Voyager that was such good friends with 7 of 9.
Yeah.
He's an artificial intelligence.
But he's synthetic.
Was he allowed to
exist, or did
exist?
They shut him
Did he have to
down?
go into hiding?
Yeah, I really
How
feel
did
like
these affect these other characters?
like,
We still need to
They
know.
focus so much on like the physical form of AI because they wanted you to focus on it. But I really felt like they needed to focus on... Well, and that's the thing, is that while episode 6 was wonderful, they poked a hole in their own plot. Because it's like, okay, this kid died because they didn't have positronic devices. But, like, Federation was okay with that? Like, didn't they go to the Federation? And Riker's still in the Federation? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, Riker lost a son because they didn't have artificial intelligence, because they arbitrarily
he
banned
believed
it.
in living to the letter of the law. He was a more letter of the law guy than Picard was.
I guess, but
Picard was acquitted.
Isn't that kind of fucked up? They banned synths, and they banned everything in synth, even positronic brains. So his own child died of a preventable disease.
But his son got to live to be like 18. A teenager. Yeah.
That's nothing.
No, but I'm saying like he at least got. Hey,
I know you're trying to find excuses.
No, I'm just trying to find the silver lining, like why Riker would accept it. Because really, Jonathan Frakes was amazing in this season of this show.
I almost wonder if, and I know Riker's like the goody two shoes, but I almost wonder if, like, what would have been kind of interesting if Riker had actually tried to find a positronic brain, like on the DL, and they just were gone because they had destroyed them.
Yeah, they were all locked up in those labs.
And that maybe someone was willing to help him, but by the time they did, the son would be dead anyway. I just feel like it's, to me, I'm sorry, but I think that it is a very rare parent that would not move heaven and earth to save their child. To just kind of go, well, that's the way things are, and my kid's gonna die. Knowing that there is something that could exist that would save your child.
Yeah.
Hence, one of our reasons we have the biggest problems with The Rise of Skywalker. This idea that Leia would ever just go, This
Yeah.
kid's a bad seed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially after they had Han Solo die to save his child. Leia's just like, well, I can't fucking... Like,
Time to quit.
The biggest sacrifice they had is, oh, she gave up being a Jedi. Like, that's something she ever wanted anyway. Anyway, we're not going into Tross. Fuck that movie. Moving on. But my point being, again, I'm saying that I don't think that it is realistic to say that unless you can really establish why a parent, even the most upstanding parent, wouldn't go, fuck everyone because I want to save my kid. Because that is an extremely primordial, like, visceral thing in your body to want to protect your children.
Yeah.
So even the most goody two-shoes person...
okay, this is the equivalent of what happened was like a 9/11 attack. Okay?
I got it.
This is like, so they put the highest level of scrutiny.
Yeah.
The Federation on finding and repossessing all of these positronic brains.
Which is what...
So it's literally so limited.
Yes.
That even if Riker did rebel,
yeah,
and did do all these things and lose all his rank and privilege and all his stuff,
mm-hmm.
and his boss already just did that, so
mm-hmm.
he already had a playbook that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he still?
And I mean, I guess technically he was in retirement because he was on that planet.
Yeah.
And he came out of retirement, so he did.
He chose.
He did choose to leave.
To retire as soon as he could.
But this is why I'm saying if it was that Riker went looking for a positronic brain and he couldn't find one and then he gave up. But to me, the idea that they just didn't look at all doesn't seem realistic.
The more baffling thing to me is that even in the 24th century, like 50-year-olds can have kids.
Yeah. That's easy.
Like, fertility has come so far that 50-year-old people have kids.
That's happening now.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that was not at all the most unrealistic thing to me. I don't know. I just felt like because only Deanna was the one to truly react or to have that scene with Picard about the son, that I feel like they didn't give you the Riker side of it, and I wished you had seen that, because I think Deanna's a person that would sort of go, life is, because of who she is her being. But Riker, I don't think Riker would be like that. I don't think Riker would just be like, blah, 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 blah. And I know that he's not, blah, 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 I know he's upset, but I just mean
he
that,
had a moment, but he does it with, he talks about Thad with, I think it was Soji.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
He doesn't get it with Picard.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think I needed one with Picard, and I think it would have been good to see him go, I would have sacrificed everything if I could have gotten something to save him. I would have. If I could have gotten my hands on a positronic brain and ruined my career, I would have done that. I don't know, I think it's... I guess I'm writing about parent. The problem is, I am not a parent, but I know a fuck ton of parents. You get what I'm saying?
But it's just this whole show has been... This whole season has all these themes of suicide, sacrifice, okay, and then a parent or patricide or whatever, genocide.
Childicide? No.
Childicide?
No.
But there's just so many different themes of death. I feel like every episode we got one person either mentioning suicide or we're actually seeing kind of suicide.
You get what I'm saying? It's kind of messed up that Riker doesn't have a moment where he's like, I'm so fucking pissed that my son was gone because of bullshit, right? Because that seems like his character. And 7 of 9 gets a whole one.
Well, it's just that he has a daughter. So because he has that love for his daughter, which he shines up extra in his episode, that's what keeps him,
I guess that's what they're trying to say,
grounded. He still has to live for her, and he still gets to enjoy her.
But 7 of 9 becomes a hysterical mother in an essence, because...
Well, where are all the other people from Voyager in Seven's life?
Yeah.
Because those people were her very close friends. And at the end of Voyager, she's canoodling with Commander Chakotay.
Yeah.
So she got off
broke up
the
with that guy.
D train and she's
Yeah.
on the F train now?
She's a B train.
Because they showed that she was...
By rights, damn it.
Okay.
By
She's
rights.
by rights.
She's by rights.
She's
I-
bisexual of knife.
Yeah. I don't see... I'm sorry, but to me, if you're not a human being, and she's technically not a human being because she's a robot, I don't see... She is.
You just stripped her of her humanity. She's a half meat.
She's a half person, half robot, but was essentially became a robot at age 6.
Sure.
Mostly robot, right? And then was lessened roboted,
Sure.
but still robot. I don't see it in the end, the whole galactic world, how anybody is straight. Like, and I feel that way. Like, even the human beings, like, would the human beings just evolve to be so open that I don't give a fuck, I'll just do it. That's always my argument to me in, like, the Star Wars universe, too. I'm like, why is anyone straight? No one would be straight. Like, and why is it even a question? Like, no one would be straight. The only people enforcing straight power onto these people are the writers who are, like, in our universe that are straight and that are annoying.
Yeah.
But seriously, everyone in that galaxy, there's aliens with, like, 50 genders. Why would they be straight? Like, it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even matter. But anyway, like, my point is, yeah, like, my point is, like, yeah, it's just that. So, I don't question, like to me, I know there's probably going to be some people who are like, oh, you're saying that right now, and I'm telling you right now, if we went on Twitter, I bet you anything we're going to find some angry-ass people who are like, oh my god, her and Rafi, this is bullshit. Wasn't she with Chakotay? And I'm just like, why would she be straight? Like, what evidence do you have?
Well, I think that the second interpretation of that scene is that they're both having...
That was sexual.
Well, listen. I'm
was
saying
a
if you
sexual
don't
touch.
want to interpret it as sexual in nature...
But you're stupid.
Wait. Can I finish being
Yes.
stupid then?
Okay, I'm sorry, yes.
The second interpretation is that they're both sharing a cake and that they're both so... They're tripping out. They're both having a drug trip together.
So
And so they're
tripping out
feeling
on
hands because they're like, oh, we're so fucked up.
Yeah.
Picard's saying engage, we're going on an adventure.
Nah.
Let's
that
trip
was
balls.
that was a romantic ass handhold. That was we're going to my bunk.
Yeah.
You're gonna show
Raffi,
me.
we're short on rooms, we're going to have to share beds.
And she's like, no problem.
Well, the other things too is that Seven was like, I need to take care of all these Borg.
I know
And
what
then she's on the ship
Those
again.
Borg one. Wait a minute. Where did the Borg go? Did they?
They're still stuck on the cube, and they're stuck on that world. The cube's
she's
still
not
on
gonna
that
help
world.
The Borg?
I think the XBs and these robots can probably learn and help each other out.
Okay, so maybe she. Yeah, but it would have been
Yeah.
nice to see a scene where the poor Borg were introduced to the robots, and then we're like, "Hey, we're gonna."
That would have been cool. That would have been cool to see a bald guy hug a bald robot.
Or just at least look at each other like,
Two bald people in makeup hugging. That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. Like, this is what I'm saying. They need to improve next season by not having 80 threads that they sort of just let dangle, and then when they finally not let them dangle, they just sort of like quickly tie them into a knot and then throw them away. Like, I need you to like a little more thought into that.
But I enjoyed it. My biggest gripe with the show is that it's not on mainstream television where regular,
humans can.
people who have
Regular,
watched Star Trek
regular,
on
schmegular
television.
humans.
Because, like, the thing is, like, my brothers were really into Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into Star Trek when Star Trek was on TV. I got into it when Enterprise was on TV, like, watching it every single week, like, religiously, because my brothers would record it, because they didn't have time to watch it live, but they would always watch their VHSs or their DVRs of it. So, yeah, people don't watch Star Trek as it happens, but if there wasn't the paywall behind Star Trek, maybe CBS would have, like, a lot of crazier ratings. I don't know.
There's a lot here that I do like. I would just like to very much see it come together more effectively.
I'm
that's the best thing I can
optimistic
say.
about season 2.
I am optimistic about season 2.
Because they hired a black writer for the writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. Mark
that is
Bernardin
exciting.
from Fat Man Beyond is going to be
Oh, cool.
a writer on Star Trek Picard.
That's awesome.
And
Do they have female writers? I hope they have more female. Oh, they did have.
Well,
They had a female director.
what's really weird about
for
the
several of these
show
episodes, right?
is that this woman is actually the one who pitched the show initially and got the studio behind the show. But it was Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman, or Michael Chabon that got actual Patrick Stewart interested in the show.
Yeah.
So she's kind of the mother of the show. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just that Chabon had to get his season out of the way, and now she could take over. I don't think he's showrunner of season 2, so they have a new showrunner.
Okay.
So it's a slightly fresh start.
I'm very interested to see where it's going. I will say my number one gripe is that it's, even though I think this show has done this far more successfully than Discovery has. Discovery's taken a long time to find its groove for me, and I'm still not a huge fan of the groove of Discovery. I still feel like all of these Star Treks, unfortunately, now struggle under the Abrams curse. Like, they all have to sort of be...
Every time I see that damn lens flare...
Yeah, I'm just like...
I'm like, can we just give up on this visual language and just return to Star Trek?
I think I have to
Please.
say, I think J.J. Abrams is like the Trojan horse. He comes with a very beautiful package, and you get very excited about the package, and then for a while you're like, the package is in your freaking, like, dais, and you're freaking, like, open, like, you bring him into your entranceway, and he's there, and you're like, whatever the medieval thing they call the square, and you're like, yay, there's this beautiful horse, and you're like staring at it for a while, and then one day the horse opens up, and it is full of people coming to destroy the things. And, like, destroy is too strong of a word, but it's what I've got, because I really think there's just a huge problem with the Abramizing of everything. And the things that he did on his own that were his own are successfully his. Like, Alias is successfully his, that show, whatever, and those things. And even then, they're not successfully his because he, like, didn't do all of them. He had help. But in that, I know that these were Abrams things that I believe, okay, those are Abrams things that were good because those were his world and he built it. But him coming into other people's worlds and Abramizing them, like, I think when you're younger, it feels really exciting and fresh and new. But, like, the older I get, the more I look back on this stuff and I'm just like, oh, I wish that they had never done that. Like, I wish that they hadn't done that. I don't know. Like,
sometimes the freshly baked bread goes stale.
Yeah, I think it's gone
very
stale.
quickly.
I actually think that's part of the problem too. Is I think, like, we have to look at it like Abrams made the original Star Treks in, like, 2009, before the 2010s, and, like, that time right there on the cusp. It's been 10 freaking years. The world is different. Like, I don't want those things anymore, and I think that. Yeah, and I think that's the struggle, is that trying to have that kind of storytelling on certain... And I think part of the problem is just like how taking... Like, TFA was more Star Wars-y. I'm bringing Star Wars because I'm trying to make a point. TFA was Star Wars-y. That's because Kazan was there. TROS felt like a mix between Abrams and Marvel, because nobody was there that was part of the old guard that was there to ensure that it stayed Star Wars-y. And I obviously you're going, well, what about Kathleen Kennedy? But those people are not creatives. They are producers.
She didn't open her mouth in that way.
They are not creatives. They're producers. It's different. Okay, these creatives, Terrio and Abrams, they made Marvel/Abrams Star Wars, right? And I think that is the same thing that's sort of happening with Star Trek, is that they're trying to have their own rhythm, which I'm appreciating, because maybe they're really trying to break out of that mold. And maybe, I know this sounds terrible, but maybe the heavy criticism of TROS might actually help them do that. Because maybe they're realizing people are tired of that, and they don't want Abramizing anymore. But why I'm bringing all this, my point, to rally my point is, when you make these things so much like this one person, they don't feel like their own things. They don't feel like what they were. And I'm not asking it to feel like TNG, because that is dated, and that would not work in this modern time. That is not what I'm saying. I am not one of those people. I'm not asking Star Wars. I was very much not asking Star Wars to feel like OG Star Wars. I was very much... And guess what? They tried to make TROS feel like OG Star Wars, and it just felt like nothing. Like, I'm asking them to evolve. I'm asking these franchises to evolve, and I know it's possible. And I want them to have their own voice, but not forget where those voices are supposed to come from. And I think the best moments of this show was when they didn't forget that. When you had Picard talking about the idea of death and the idea of liberty and the idea of, like, what the Federation should stand for. Those are the things that matter. And those are the things that you can still update, because that is a universal message that Roddenberry put into Star Trek. That can be evolved for any timeline. And that's what makes it so timeless. The same way that in Star Wars, the timelessness of Star Wars is redemption and love stories. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that people remember the core. And that's what I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying. I'm done.
And now that we found a way to criticize Judas Abrams.
I'm sorry, JJ. Am I sorry? I'm a little sorry.
Yo, we spent a year and a half. I spent a year and a half.
Hyping you up, man.
Sucking your cock.
Sir. Metaphorically.
You want to hear 80 podcasts where I suck J.J. Abrams' cock? Yeah. They exist.
Yeah.
Okay? Now you get to hear me spit.
Yeah. And we've talked about, like, his thing before, but we really did have rose-colored glasses on. Like, we wanted to really believe that he can do it. He's going to do it.
He needed to.
He needed to do it.
He failed us.
Yeah.
I have been your host, Steven.
And I've been Danny.
And
watch Picard! Give it a chance. And maybe you will also look very much forward to season 2. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, watch Picard. Anyway.
And remember, kids, live long and prosper, hypothetically. Hail Vunda. Hail Vunda.
Vundacast? Give it up for Vundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Vundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
Subscribe to the Vundacast.